Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is Leah with Ode to Paper, and I'm here with number 5 in our Where Did It Go Wednesdays Find Your Mojo series. So now I am working on a prompt from Mercy Tiara in her Scrapbooking Cards Today magazine series that she did here on YouTube. So the prompt I'm using is deconstruction zone. Now, I had a hard time with this one because I wasn't quite sure exactly what that meant. Watching the video, you learn a little bit more about what that is. And it's, to me, my understanding is that instead of clumping all of your embellishments into clusters, you kind of put them into an arrangement spread out on your page. So they become part of your main shape of your photos, if that makes any sense. So today I'm using these 4 photos of these beautiful mallards that Paige and I came across while kayaking on the river. And I had these papers. Now, again, that striped paper is Recollections. That blue paper is that very, very thin paper that I used in the last design as well. I figured might as well use it up. I still had that scrap and I'm not fond of it, so if I didn't use it, I was throwing it out. And I ripped the paper to kind of mimic the river, so that the striped paper is, the stripes are not uniform. They look like painty lines. And I thought that kind of looks like, the flow, the current of a river. So I thought I would use that to depict the river. And the photos, I've matted them on white cardstock. And I'm going to find a placement for them along that river. So they're not going to be all on the same line. They're not going to be in a row. I do try to put them in like a modified grid, but at the same time, they're moving up the river. So I really like how that looks. I have pulling out some of my embellishments from Nicole Jones 911 Designs. Those are her printable embellishments. And I'm just kind of figuring out what I'm going to do. I want to have clusters because it's kind of ingrained in you to have these 3 clusters. But at the same time, I want to include that deconstruction part of this process, right? So I'm looking for embellishments that will both fit in the clusters, smaller clusters, as well as into the layout of the piece. So I have some Doodlebug Designs die cuts. I have the flower, the bird, the title, which is hello. I have, a banner that says summer memories. I have some flowers, a bow. I probably said all of that already, but that's okay. So right now I'm pulling out everything I want to use. I'm trying to see, what I want to use that goes, number 1, with the color scheme of the page, which is the blue, the teal, that yellow. It's more of a really washed out yellow, but that's okay. And just see what else I can bring in to pull my clusters together, as well as produce that deconstructed process. So I have cameras. They're not quite the right yellow I'm looking for, so I will keep searching. I did pull them out. There's 2 of the big ones and 2 of the small ones. I'm only going to use 1 of the big ones. And then I'll also use the 2 smaller ones in my clusters. But the 1 big one is going to be part of that deconstruct. So let's see, I have arrows with words. I only end up using 1. I have some tickets that I've punched out of scrap paper. I have some viewfinders, small and large, and some circle labels and a rectangle label, a fancy label, a ticket that I've cut out. It was a printable from, I think, Tracey Reed, but don't quote me on that. And then I also have punched some sprigs, and I have some paper flowers. So I'm going to pretty much cement where I want my photos now. There was 2 ways. The way I chose to do this was I put a little bit of glue behind them. Did not push them down. I just sat them lightly on my paper. And then I pulled out my T-square ruler to help me make sure that they're straight and where I want them, and that the spacing between them was good. So I found that's really easy to do. I did not put them up on foam. I could have, I just didn't even think about it. I was too worried about making sure that I had this deconstruction zone thing figured out. So I have my photos down. I'm going to figure out where I want my main cluster, which is going to be in that empty corner underneath the photo on the right. And it's going to be not huge, but not small, but it's also the largest embellishment in my cluster. And the clusters on this page follow the Goldilocks rule, where you have one large, one medium, and one small. So the one above the photo on the left, that is my medium cluster, and it's got, you know, that bow from Doodlebug and a viewfinder and a circle label. I also do put that sun down above it. That's also part of that deconstruction zone. I add a tab to the back, to the top of that middle photo, also part of that deconstruction. And then I'm also going to, what am I working on? Oh, I'm working on the big cluster again. I tend to move back and forth a little bit in this one. So I'm just trying to figure out the placement of all my embellishments that I want to add to this layout, right? I want this cluster to be the biggest one, and I want to have multiple layers in it. So I have an arrow with words that says outdoors. I have that ticket. I'm going to add those sprigs, those leaf sprigs, and a banner that I pulled out of my color box. And that banner up top that says Summer Memories, I really like that, and I wanted to make sure it made it on this page. That is kind of my subtitle, if you will. And here is that camera. Okay, so I don't know what happened with the video just there, but we'll go with it. Okay, so that camera, I cut it out. I want to add it to, you know, just to the right and underneath that main cluster. I'm gluing down my title with the bird. That's also part of the deconstruct. You'll notice that they're part of the main cluster of photos, but they're not touching them. So I think that's where that deconstruct comes in, is you're just pulling your embellishments out a little further so that they're not touching. They still are part of the main layout, and they look like they're part of the main layout. And along with that rectangle label up top, and I add that little viewfinder in, it gets some enamel dots, but that's it. And that's all it needs to be part of the layout. The enamel dots just kind of draw it all together along with the colors. So my enamel dots are from Gina Marie Designs. I absolutely love them. These are light blue sparkly enamel dots. And I did not add glue, and I wish I had, because now I'm going back again and adding glue behind all of them. So those are all glued down. I'll place them. I actually have 5 groupings of enamel dots, which is fine because there's certain places that I wanted to emphasize. And there's my layout for today for the deconstruction zone prompt. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'll have a list below of our videos between me and Kelsey, and hope to see you again soon. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.